Good morning, everyone. It's been a minute since I've done a live video. I'm recovering well for my what do you call it, my arm injury. It's bad. I mean, it's broken, but I like to joke about it and say that I'd rather have a broken arm than a broken bank account, because at least with a broken arm I can take painkillers, but for a broken bank account I don't know what type of pills you guys take. But yeah, anyways, that's my joke that I usually like to tell. Now, anyways, in the recent light of our downgrading from by Fitch to negative in terms of our debt, first of all, we need to be quite frank. Most of the government debt, 50% of it amounts to salaries. And if we've been borrowing money just to pay salaries, that simply means that it's not money that's being utilized for capital projects, and not just necessarily per se capital projects, but projects that could necessarily bring about income to the country. Now, if we were borrowing money, let's say, to stimulate the economy, like a classical example of giving money to SMEs, in order for SMEs to expand their businesses, or in order for young graduates to start businesses, or whatever the case is, then it would have been a different ball game. Because let's assume you're a graduate, you've got a degree in finance or whatever degree you have, and you start your small accounting firm that is actually assisting other young people who also have businesses. Then, as per se, you alone would have had a job, and somehow in that line you'd have also created a job for the next young person. But because our borrowing is merely to be paying for veterans, to be paying the two former presidents, to be paying high salaries for the honorables, as you guys call them, His Excellencies and your Excellencies and your whatever you call them, that's where our money has been going. So I don't know why our leaders are acting surprised. Guys, you've been borrowing money to pay your salaries. You've been borrowing money for S&Ts. You've been borrowing money so that you guys can pay yourselves overtimes. You've been borrowing money so that you guys can ensure there's fuel in your Mercedes-Benz. You've been borrowing money to ensure that the private or the presidential jet can be jetting around as far as it wants. We've been borrowing money to ensure that there's lights in the State House. We've been borrowing money to ensure there's food in the State House. We've been borrowing money to ensure that we remain in poverty. That's pretty much what we've been borrowing money for. And now we want to act surprised with the recent downgrading. I mean, I would have understood if we were borrowing money to expand small businesses, or to even expand the bigger businesses that are already in existence. I would have understood if we were deliberately borrowing money to improve our education system. Because our education system, let's be honest and let's be frank. I recently saw a post that Delish Matthew posted, where Delish Matthew says we need to have a look at our education system, and we need to have a serious look at it, because year after year we're producing graduates, but we've been producing jobless graduates. So is education really the key, as we keep saying? Because if education is truly the key, then how come these young people who are highly educated because they've got degrees aren't able to create jobs for themselves? Because these guys have got degrees, master's degrees for that matter. But you've got a master's degrees and you're most probably doing a job as a cashier, or you're working as a clerk, or something that you absolutely have not studied for. So can we see that in essence that Delish is right? But because we're so negative, I saw the comments on the post and I feel sorry for us Namibians with our negativity, because our negativity is not going to take us anywhere. Now, is it the fact that it's because it's Delish Matthews who posted about it that most of you were so negative? Or why? What was the real reason, guys? Because you guys amaze me at times. Even when something positive is said, you guys always find something negative to say. Like, you guys totally just amaze me at times. I'm totally amazed at times that we find we do the absolute best and we do the most in finding the negativity in any given post. So back to the economic situation. We need to start borrowing money to stimulate real economic growth. And how do you stimulate real economic growth? You need to create jobs. How do you create jobs? You need to fund entrepreneurs. Guys, that's the only way. Go to any nation that has built a successful economy. Go to Japan. Japan realized that the only way to grow the economy is through entrepreneurs. Go to South Korea, same thing. If you go in South Korea, those guys manufacture literally for everyone. They manufacture for Samsung, they manufacture for all the big brands. But what are we doing here in Africa? We're busy opening, centers that used to be like Ramatex. Ramatex, if we don't utilize it for boxing, it's utilized for church activities. Guys, church activities won't stimulate the economy. Let's understand that. I don't have a problem with us being religious, but let's just understand that going to church every single day and praying won't solve our economic conditions. We need to create jobs. How do you create jobs? We need to start factories. We need to fund entrepreneurs. We need to start processing. These are the things that we need to start doing. Value addition. Those are the things we ought to be doing. But seeing that we don't do these things, we're going to continue praying and praying, hoping for Jesus to come. But I can guarantee you this, your Jesus is not going to come in your lifetime. Most probably not even your children's lifetime. Because if Jesus didn't come through slavery, if Jesus didn't come through apartheid, don't think Jesus is going to come now in the era of Facebook and Twitter. Absolutely not. And you guys can mark my words. So let's start bringing our heads together and let's start thinking positively. Negativity, yes, it's not going to get us anywhere. Us bashing each other as young people, it's not going to get us anywhere. And I'm going to quote Julius Nyerere. He said, Africa's downfall will be disunity. Those were not his exact words. But he said something in the line to say that Africa's fall will be a lack of unity. And that's our biggest problem. We are not united. Not as Africans, not as Namibians, not as anything. And that's going to be our biggest downfall. So with that said, I'd love to wish you guys all a blessed day. And like I said, we can continue praying and hoping the economy is going to change. But the economy is not going to change if we guys do not realize that this is an economic condition that needs to be changed through us changing our economic situation. Let's stop borrowing money for the presidents to live lavish lifestyles. Let's stop borrowing money so that the ministers can continue driving in their fancy Mercedes-Benz. Let's start borrowing money for the real things. Real things. And it's a shame as citizens of this country that we do not take politics seriously. Because if we don't take politics seriously, guess what? Our leaders are going to continue living the lives that they live, and you're going to continue being miserable as you currently are. Struggling for a job, struggling for a student loan, struggling for healthcare, struggling for housing, struggling for sanitation. You'll pretty much be struggling for everything. And guys, if you think it's a joke, the country is being sold off. And by the time you and I realize that the country has been sold off, it will be a bit too late for us, because we'll be too deep in this depth that we won't be able to come out. So we can still fix things. And it's up to us as young people to realize that we need to fix these things, and we need to fix them now. We can't wait for tomorrow. We can't wait for apparently our perfect time in order for us to become matured and whatsoever. No, we're already matured enough. I mean, guys, how much more matured do we need to be? Now, like I said, there's a funny scenario. We're old enough to vote, but apparently not wise enough to lead. So, food for thought. If you're not old enough to lead, why should you be old enough to vote? Food for thought. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.